thanks for coming tonight. We have the great honor tonight to have Ray Troll here again, Dr. Ray Troll, who he received an honorary doctorate from UAS the year before last. We're very proud to have him as one of our honorary doctorates. I was so happy to be able to do that. Individual who has contributed so much to Alaska, to the Alaska scene, not only in his art, but also in his scientific inquiry. He really has, melded those very well. He's also a great author, naturalist, musician, amazing person to me. I know when we were preparing for the honorary doctorate, I went down to Ketchikan, spent some time with Ray in his studio, and you read about artists and the work they put in, and Ray showed me his sketchbooks from 30, 40 years, and it's amazing, all the sketchbooks and all the different things that he's done, and so much. He told me about how often on planes, long plane rides, how he sits and thinks about things and starts his sketches, and it gave me sort of an inside look at the work of artists and how, the creative process and how it went on and how it goes on with individuals. But Ray has an incredible, ability to take his scientific knowledge and put it into then his creative, juices, and to turn it into art. And, his murals are hanging in public spaces, not just all over Alaska, but all over the United States. I know that recently one of those was chosen to be in the Smithsonian, and Ray, he's very proud of that, and I think he should be. It's a national monument, the Smithsonian, and here we have one of our Alaskan artists with their work in the Smithsonian, so it's tremendous. Ray earned his BA in art with an emphasis in printmaking, and he moved to the West Coast and studied then, at Washington State University. In 1981, he received his MFA degree in studio arts there. After a few more years of teaching classes as a graduate assistant and learning the museum exhibit business by curating shows at Washington State University, he moved to Ketchikan. And that's a story in itself, I don't know, but he came and worked in the fishing industry, fish processing industry, and that's when he started looking at those fish as they were coming across the fish line and thinking about the ways in which you might be able to really take the knowledge about fish and really put them into art. And anyway, sometime when you got a chance, talk to Ray about that. He's also an incredible author. The Shark a Bit and The Rapture of the Deep were co-written with Brad Matson, and they prompted exhibits in the Science Museum of Minnesota, the Anchorage Museum of History and Art, Carnegie Museum of Natural History in Pittsburgh, among others. In 1995, a major show that fused original music and interactive computer imagery, Dancing to the Fossil Record, opened at California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco, continued to the Oregon Coast Aquarium in Newport, and ended after 4 years at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. More recently, Ray did field research on creatures that live in the Amazon River, resulting in the traveling art exhibit, Amazon Voyage, Vicious Fishes and Other Riches. Ray has served as art director for this effort, which displayed at diverse national venues. He's been a featured speaker many, many areas, and including, of course, here at UAS last 2 years ago when he was given his doctorate here. But he's got an incredible gallery down in Ketchikan, and of course, we all know him well for his T-shirts, which I proudly am wearing here. This one I bought when I was down there when I was visiting with Ray. But I had a contest today. I thought I'd let you guys know in my office, because I brought both of my my favorite T-shirts that I've been wearing of Ray's lately, and we had to have a vote about what to wear. And of course, in the beginning, people were being conservative. They said, well, wear, the Holy Grayling one, because it's green, it'll go over on TV better, and it's a little more, acceptable. And then as the day wore on, people really got to going saying, no, I think we like the other one. So I want to show you the one that really won, even though I hesitated about wearing it, but it's one of my favorites. So this is the one that won. It says, "Don't let the bastards grind you down." So, and this is the one you want to wear on Monday mornings when you come in. So, anyway, it's a tremendous, again, the art that Ray has done is an Alaskan legend. So anyway, I could go on and on. I'm really a Ray Troll fan, as you probably already know. But I want to say, if you didn't get a chance to see our new mural, which we commissioned here and Ray unveiled in a sense tonight, please, if you walk out, the entrance that you see over there, the entrance of the Egan building there, the classroom building, on the right-hand side is our new 7x11 Ray Troll mural, and it is beautiful. So please stop by there on your way out if you haven't seen it yet. If you want, stop by and see, of course, the totem pole, which was carved this summer here by TJ and Joe Young, to Haida young men who just did an incredible job this summer, and that will be raised in the spring here at UAS. But two incredible art pieces, so please take the time to do that. And I will turn it over to Ray. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Is this on? Hello. Oh, I guess I am on. Hello. Thank you for coming out. I'm overwhelmed. This is really cool. Thank you. Especially on such a beautiful night. We know how much we treasure those. I know how much we treasure those here in Southeast, being a Ketchikanner. But one of the first things that we could do, could we just kill those lights? Because I want to look at art. Just these lights right there. All right, great, thanks. Yeah, I did speak a couple years ago, actually, in the blizzard of, what was that, 08 or something? Or it was in April, and there were a few souls that came out. We were down the hall, but it was really cool. But what I want to do is just share some of the new stuff that I've been doing with you, and this is absolutely the latest. As John said, it's right down the hall, and it's only about a year late, and I apologize for that. But I call it Deep Forest, and it's really about well, actually, a few years back in Sitka, I was doing a mural project with Roberto Salas and Memo Haragi and Will Burkhart, and we had some community meetings before we did the mural that's down on the cold storage building there, and just to get input for stuff to put in the mural. And somebody in the back, and I think it was actually Richard Nelson, set up, what about something that shows the connection between the fish and the forest? So this is it. This is literally, the fish are in the forest, and this does grow out of, hanging out with scientists, and I was just talking to some folks down the hall there, but, we know that salmon need the riparian zone is what it's called for, shelter for their young and to spawn in those freshwater rivers. But what does the forest get out of it? And it turns out the forest does get something out of it. And the big historic salmon runs actually show up in the rings of the old growth trees. The big salmon run years are the years that they're, the rings are big and bold. And historically, that goes back 50, 60 years. At least we're able to look at that. And the isotopes of the salmon show up in there. So anyways, in typical Ray Troll kind of fashion, I end up putting all kinds of insane detail in it. But I also want to give a shout out to the students that helped me in February this year. We painted up and down the hallway there. I think some of you guys are here tonight. It took about a week, and we did the whole, the stairway going up, and projected images. Students helped out with that, and then we did the big whale, because John wanted the whale. Get the spike in there. This does show all 5 species of salmon, and I don't have the laser pointer, so I'll just kind of gesture toward these things, and then you go find them. But since this is maybe one of the only opportunities for me to say where all the hidden stuff is, all right? Well, maybe, actually, I'm off that's right, I'll have to stand up here. Well, there's the butterfly down here. I did put 4 beetles in here. Okay, there's 4 little ladybugs in here, and you can look for those. They're in different spots. They're kind of down here. There's a toad right up here, and I've been told that there's been lots of toads showing back up in Juneau. Up there, you see the scary sort of skull guy. There's some ammonites. There's some fossils up there, and I've just always loved going out fossil digging here in Southeast. And look at the fiddle that's actually hanging on the fiddlehead fern. So that's kind of in remembrance of the Fiddlehead restaurant, which I like to dine at. And actually toward the center section there, you'll see a salmon going up, there's a totem pole there, if you see that, just right next to the cedar tree. I know you guys don't have red cedar here, so I've brought you a red cedar from Ketchikan. I'd also like to point out that the center section, since there was a deadline that was bearing down on me, and I wanted to get this thing done, I asked my friend Dave Rubin to come in and help me paint for 3 days. So Dave came in with his big brush and did a lot of the center section there. I'd done all the underpainting, but Dave came in and put paint over the underpainting, and then I went back and forth. But there's some sections of down the center there where you can actually see a different hand. So Dave did a bunch of that, but let's see, there seems to, and also just to point out that in this bark in the lower left of the cedar, just below the sockeye chin there, you'll actually see salmon swimming up the bark. And now you're here to give me the other mic. Oh, a laser pointer. That's it right there? Oh, there we go. All right. So look right in there and you'll see salmon kind of swimming up in the bark. And then also I'd like to point out that the devil is actually and literally in the details. So he's in there's a couple of them there in the Devil's Club. They're benign, friendly devils. They really mean nothing bad. They're just kind of goofy little things. But there's little guys in the Devil's Club. So look around for that kind of stuff. But also, since I'm talking about scientific surrealism, I actually thought I would show you some of the surrealists that I kind of respond to. And actually, I think you can see that I was kind of thinking about this painting a lot as I painted that painting. This is Henry Russo's The Dream. We have a naked woman waking up in the middle of a jungle here. And I just love this painting. And it's actually just a little bit smaller than the painting that's there. And this is the Museum of Modern Art. Russo was a painter from the late 1800s in France. But he'd never been to the tropics. He always dreamed of it. But he just went down to the local botanists, and he just had this real kind of rigid style, but it's just beautiful. So I was really trying to channel Russo as I did that. But let's go from the sublime to the ridiculous. I want to show you the new T-shirts available at a store near you, hopefully. But these are some of the hits. You know, it just doesn't get much better than dogs playing poker, you know? But I thought maybe fish playing poker would be even cooler. So here we have fish playing poker, and this is a new shirt. This is actually an idea that's submitted to me. People bounce ideas off of me. I come up with most of them, but every now and then there's one that somebody just says, hey, Ray, what about fish and chips? You know, fish playing poker. Oh, okay. So this is a guy off the internet sent me this email, and I went, I had to do it. So you see the fish are all playing poker there. They all have ace of hearts. And this has been an incredibly good seller. So it's helping to put my kids through college, which is a good thing. Downward facing dog. This, admittedly, is a very narrow market. You have to know your yoga positions, and you have to be either a sports or probably a commercial fisherman. So there actually are enough that this is sold well enough. Looks cool, but it does kind of sort the Alaskans out from other folks. They don't get it. What's this? So it's for us. And here's one that actually has not gotten off. All right. I didn't do it as a shirt, but I thought we were about to do it as a shirt. Tortured Soul. See, there's Dick Cheney back there with their actual. But at the last minute, my printer said, no, we better not do that one. So actually, do you think? We have a yes over there? All right. It's kind of demented. I feel bad. It's my Catholic guilt. This one, NASCAR. Doing very well. To explain the numerology there, I was born in the year 1954. I graduated from high school in 1972. I did it in the year 2009, and TGI is my secret corporation, Troll Global Industries. So this one is just kind of dumb. But I love it. I love it when they're dumb. Bling card. It's been sitting on the drawing board for years, so I finally did it. Surf Alaska. There he is surfing away. So these are all new shirts. Kind of responding. There he's on a halibut. This one I'm glad to say we're doing very well. Psychedelic. So the Mandala. So this looks, I spent a long time working on this one. But actually sockeye and all their, basically in their spawning phase, and they're in the center, but actually there's eggs and the fry and the smolt all around the edge there. And yeah, it's a cool thing. It's really cool. It's actually really cool with the 3D glasses as well. Here, you want to try it? Here. You check it out. All right. See if she says ooh. Or is she going to try it? Oh, yeah, all right, good. She did it. All right, so psychedelic, but actually, thank you for mentioning the thing about the Smithsonian, actually. And this, just to show you, you know, that there's the T-shirt, but at the same time, I was drawing this big circular image, and I did this for this is the image that's in the Smithsonian. And actually, it was a collaborative piece. It was a designer friend of mine named Karen Librand that worked with me, so we got 2 signatures on it. But so I sketched a little bit, Karen sketched a little bit, we moved some stuff around, but we had to work with the committee to get everything in there. But this is showing the big circle of life, kind of the Lion King sort of thing, the big circle of life. But we're working, you know, all the way from the salmon spawning up there in the top. Where is that? And where's my laser again? Is it that one? No, forgot which button it is now. Oh, well. I'll just point and gesture. Anyways, the salmon eggs going all the way around and then to the spawning phase. But notice that all along the way, there are predators that are kind of reaching in, including humans. There's sports fishermen. There's subsistence fishermen in here. And, you know, and I tried to get them in at the right spots, you know, in the salmon life cycle. But really, it's incredible to think about entire cultures, civilizations that depend upon this fish, this group of fish that have affected life in the West Coast so dramatically, you know, for thousands of years. And this whole web of life that depends upon the fish. And, you know, as an artist, it's just endlessly fascinating for me. But this is it. It's actually for the back of a case. And this is, somebody took a friend of mine took a picture of the case. So it's in the back of a case at the Smithsonian in the new Oceans Hall that's there. So there's the king salmon. It actually talks about the native cultures up here and the importance of the salmon in the big chain of life up here. Many species benefit. So it's in the back of the hall, the new hall. And that did teach me about dealing with committees. This is a T-shirt that I'd like to maybe do someday. I don't know. I have wrestled with this beast they call committee. So there's the artist before the committee. Artists and committees, I don't know. It's an interesting mix. The guy there in the center is especially bored. And continuing on with my surrealist kind of things, and some of these will probably not be T-shirts, but they amuse me. This one is actually a famous surrealist painting by Magritte called "This Is Not a Pipe." This is in French, is what it says. This is not a pipe. And so when he did this in the 1920s, it was very revolutionary because he did a painting of a pipe, and he said, "This is not a pipe." Oh, I see. It's a painting. It's not a pipe. It's a representation of a painting. So this is my response. This is not a pike. So the trick is you actually have to be a surrealist and know your fish to get this one. So that means I'll sell 5 of these, unless I can be able to set it up. But get this one. All right. I'm testing you guys out. This is good. You like? That's good? All right. Do I need to explain that? I think it's going to sort the Alaskans out, though, from the other folk, but okay, well, that's good. Here we have jammin' salmon. We got the fish playing, the jammin'. And yes, I've been rekindling my musical career over the years here. I think everybody should be in a band or be writing songs for a band. It's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. This one is called Hey Fish Face. With me at the end there. But in my own geeky science way, this is our evolutionary history. And I can actually name all these creatures for you, along the way there. But this is also a song, and you can listen to the MP3 online. Hey Fish Face, don't forget who you are. And here's one, a new one. I haven't colored it yet. But this is definitely a feedback loop going on here because I had walked into a restaurant about a month ago and the cook yells out, "Hey, that's Ray Troll. Hey, I got a t-shirt idea for you. It's Kawasaki, Oh, okay, so there's that one. Now here's one that you have to be Jewish and fish. Or know what kvetch is. It says up there, "Why, you little schmuck. Get off of my line." And the fish looks, "Oh, kvetch." But I come from Kvetchikan, so So this one, we have Salvador Dali's The Persistence of Memory, if you're scoring along at home. And now here's Salvador Dali, Varden. To give you, oh, they're groaning. The crowd turns restless. Oh, no. All right, I'm sorry. It's devolved at this point now. Sorry about that. We'll just kind of let that one go. But I do like to point out that, the stuff does show up in popular culture. If you watch the film Superbad, I blanked there. Superbad, this is how bad I am. Superbad, there in the kid's bedroom there, you see the Spawn Do You Die poster in the background there in the upper left in Superbad. And here is Seth Rogen and my Mandala. And this is in the movie Pineapple Express. So get them a DVD, pause, and go, "Hey, I know that guy." And as John mentioned too, I had the good fortune of working in the Amazon Voyage exhibit, and I've been to the Amazon 4 times, and most recently in the spring. And my niece Erin went along with me, and Andrew Heiss from Juneau went along. And this is something that was spawned from my first trip in '97, but it ended up being this big exhibit. And that exhibit is traveling around the nation, and this is just a couple images from the recent trip. This is in March, and my wife Michelle got to go for the first time. And if you're into fish, all roads, all water systems lead to the Amazon. The diversity there is overwhelming and very inspiring, of course. And here's a local river kid, and this is probably one of the tasty, I love Alaskan fish, but this is fish called a croaker down there, and it's probably one of the tastiest fish I've ever eaten. We got to eat it that evening. And this was a trip that was, actually, there were a lot of bugs in this trip, and we got to do, and my buddy Kirk Johnson had a close-up camera, took a lot of portraits of insects about, half an inch away, and this is one of his pictures. And there's another one. Look at this thing. It's like a spider/ant thing. And I'm into the fish, and people are all, "Why bugs? Life is so rich and inspiring, but yet then it has a way of biting back, literally." That's my leg. All right, I'll move on. All right, so I'll spare you that. But that was the most horrendous. Yes, I got bitten by flies one morning. But this is the website if you're at all curious about the Amazon Voyage exhibit. It's been to like a dozen museums already. The AmazonVoyage.org, this is the website. That's a photo that I took in '97. It's a great interactive website. The exhibit is leaving Virginia in another month. It's the Virginia Museum of Science, and it's going to the Florida Museum of Natural History, and opens there in October. And just kind of skipping around here tonight, things I've been doing in the last few years. This is a book cover that I did for an ichthyologist friend of mine. And these are all fish that are from a very bizarre group of animals, a group of fish that live deep in the ocean, and they are the deep sea anglerfish. And the deep sea anglerfish have some shallow water cousins, the frogfish and the monkfish. But the deep sea anglers are the really cool ones, the deep sea. And over the years, I've gotten to know these guys, the fish, but also through the ichthyologist that wrote the book. His name is Dr. Ted Peach, and he wanted himself in the bathysphere. So he's in the bathysphere over there in the far left, and you'll see Ted Peach peering out the window at all of these fish. And there's the cool effect, see. But one of the cool things about the anglerfish is that the females dwarf the males. So the females are like 60 times bigger than the tiny little pathetic males. I think there's a parable here for us, folks. And the other thing, too, is the females do all the work, which is okay by me. And they have lures, light lures that they use to lure their prey close to them, out in these like fishing rods in front of their heads. So these are all accurately drawn creatures. And they bioluminesce, so they make their own light in the world of eternal darkness down there. And it's the parasitic male, though, that there's the parasitic male that's attached to him, deep sea anglerfish. It's kind of a lifestyle that maybe I aspire to. Because, like I said, the women are doing all the work, but then the little males spend their entire lives looking for the female. Where is she? And when they finally find her, because it's such a kind of barren, it's actually the largest biosphere on our planet is the deep sea. There's fewer creatures, but it's the largest space that's taken up in the world by that. And the life is very sparse down there. So when you finally find your mate, you hold on. And what the males do is they grab onto the female's side, and they hold on forever and ever until actually their heads dissolve, and all that's left is their little tails and the testes. And when she needs to be fertilized, she just kind of shivers a little bit, and it's taken care of. But so that's why I have drawn the deep sea anglerfish there. He's got the TV remote, and he's got a beer. That's the lifestyle. That's the life for me. It's inspired a song, but actually while I was into that, I just said, well, while I'm drawing these deep sea fishes, one of my favorites is this fish right here. It's called the stoplight loosejaw. Malacosteus niger is this species, and I've gone from fish collection to fish collection, where they keep the fish in the jars, and I'm always looking for the good Malacosteus, because they get torn up as they come up. But this is an incredible fish, and basically its head comes unhinged right down here. It flips its head up, and its throat is open. So look at this. It pops its head back, and then it opens its jaw up like this right here. And it consumes animals like 3 times its size, and it stuffs it into its open throat right here, which also has teeth on it. There's like rows and rows of teeth. But the other really cool thing about this is in a family of fish, and there's only about, I think, 20 species in this family, and they're the only creatures on the planet that can produce red light. And what it's doing, it's actually able to produce red light and green light, so hence the name, the stoplight. But it's using the red light as infrared to hunt its prey. And it's able to focus its eyes straight forward like this and hunt for prey and shoot out a red light looking for, and the other fish cannot see the red light. So there they are. This is really one of the most, I just love this fish. Can't help myself. But let's turn now to the world of sharks for just a moment. The shark family tree, further adventures with sharks. I did Shark a Bet back in 2001, and I learned a lot about I just started drawing these. I wanted to understand the evolutionary relationships, so I started talking to these scientists. And way back about 300 million years ago, there was a big split in the shark family tree. And the ratfish side, because ratfish belong to the shark family, they're on this right-hand side. They're called the holocephalans. And it turns out that there's this prehistoric group of fish that are related to the ratfish, and they don't get very big, but they're called the iniopterygians. And the iniops are these little fish. They're only about a foot or two long, but they look like little airplanes because their fins are not at the bottom of their body, they're at the top, and they could maybe fly. So think of that, these tiny little flying sharks. But one of the cool things about these guys, and these lived 300 million years ago, check out the dentition on this guy. All right? My little ratfish looks like a little rabbit, but this is a malevolent little creature. It's got these blades out front there. So it turns out that maybe in my Sharkabet book, and I know that there's some young shark enthusiasts here that have read Sharkabet and gone to sleep reading about it, that I might have been wrong with one of my sharks in that, but it's a pretty cool thing. It's not this guy. I still stand by my reconstruction of this guy. This is Helicoprion, but it's a spiral tooth shark, and it retained its teeth in its lower jaw. It never shed them. They actually spiraled back in. The only animal in the history of life to cheat the tooth fairy is what I call it. So it kept its teeth in this bizarre whirl. So the teeth were aligned like this. But and my buddy Gary Staub sculpted this for me. Gary was on the Amazon trip this year. And these are some of the beautiful tooth spirals of Helicoprion. These come from Idaho, Australia, Japan. Some of them are about 2 feet across, which means this was an enormous shark. But the question has been going back and forth, and believe you me, there's only like 4 of us on the planet that debate this stuff or go back and forth on it. Are they on the ratfish side of the tree? Is that cool? And they actually might be in the ratfish side of the tree. But this is a very large whorl of teeth, and it's kept its baby teeth. So those are the baby teeth. It never lost them. They ratchet into place. It keeps it in a blade like this. And it chops stuff in two with that. But here's a related form. And it's not retaining its teeth, but they're still aligned like this. And they ratchet. As they ratchet out, as these move out, these are the roots of the teeth down here at the bottom. So in Helicoprion, they keep them and it whirls back in. But in this one, it's got a really long tooth base, but it sheds them. But it keeps moving these things out. But if you remember on that Iniops I showed you earlier, it's got some blades all over the front of it. But it turns out, and here I am holding, and I called this animal the scissor tooth shark. And you know, when you're the only one kind of that seems to care about some of these things, and they have no common names, you get to dream up a common name. So I called it the scissor tooth shark, but I'm reconsidering that now. Here I am with one with enormous teeth. This is the only fossil this one ever found. It's called Edestus giganteus. The teeth are the size of megalodon. This was an enormous shark with these blades of teeth. This is from the Paleozoic, 300 million years ago. But this one is related to, well, this is Edestus giganteus. This is one of my drawings earlier. So it's these blades, and they slice things in two. But this probably was a 40-foot shark, something that, well, that might be stretching a bit, at least 30 feet long with these big blades like that. But there's this sly guy, his name is Dr. Richard Lund, and he shows me these fossils every now and then, and he kind of taunts me with these things. And we sort of play this game over the years, but he's now made this public. He says, you know, Ray, at the Smithsonian in the drawer in the back, they've got one of those Edestus. This is Edestus myrus is the name of this. It's from Pennsylvania. He says, if you look very closely, you'll see they actually have the blades in place. It was fossilized like this. It's one of the only fossils to show both blades in place. It fossilized like this. You can actually kind of see the snout of the shark. But, and this is where I need, well, if he says, look very closely at the top, you'll see a blade, you'll see the teeth there, but there's actually a second blade. Do you see that there's another row of teeth over there? So there's actually this is the bottom blade right here, the top blade, but then look, in the rock, there's another blade behind that. So it's like that little Iniops, but this is a big shark with these blades. So I started thinking, oh my gosh, these are like the coolest things ever, and they're giant. I have to come up with a better name than scissor tooth. So here's my new name. I'm going to try it out on you. The giant death blade sharks of long ago. And here's my drawing of a giant death blade shark. Huh? Death blade sharks? Huh? You think it's got... I think it'll work. But you see, it's got the giant blades there. So it actually turns out, and I've got to go see this fossil myself to see if it's true, and I don't know, maybe we'll try to drag the Discovery Channel in. But speaking of the fossily stuff, on December 18th at the Burke Museum, this show opens called Cruising the Fossil Freeway. And this is the last book I did with the paleontologist, and we're featuring a lot of the fossils from the book, and all the original art is going to be in that. And that opens December 18th, runs 6 months at the Burke Museum. And here's the cover of it. Kirk Johnson from the Denver Museum, one of the coolest guys I know. We went on this great fossil adventure all around the Rocky Mountain states. But the good news is that we've just signed a deal to do another book now on the fossils of Alaska, the Pacific Northwest, and California. So that means we get to go on fossil adventures up here with a paleontological crew. So as part of this is actually on my drawing board right now. I usually don't show work that's half done, but this is a map of Washington State, and I'm slowly working my way over to the coast now to have the Burke Museum. But what in there, and actually Kirk and I in July went on a fossil trip across Washington State because the Burke Museum wants more Washington stuff in it. So I'm doing the research, and Kirk's helping me out. We're plunking all these fossils on the map where they're found. And as usual, just keep stumbling across really cool stories. And there's one really cool story right in the center of the state, up near Cooley City. And we went there, and Kirk's been talking about this for years. We have to go see the Blue Lake Rhino. We must go to the Blue Lake Rhino. There's a little lake north of Cooley City called Blue Lake, and eastern Washington was covered with lava flows about 20 million years ago. And one day, this poor little rhinoceros was standing out by the lake, and the volcano blew up and covered it in lava, and it bloated up, and it died. And it was encased in lava, and of course it rotted away. And then about in the 1950s, there were a couple of guys up on this cliffside, and they said, oh my gosh, this is like a big hole in the lava up here. Wait a minute, it's shaped like a rhinoceros. And actually they went inside, they climbed inside, and there were bones of the rhinoceros in there. And it's this rhinoceros-shaped cave, upside down, but it's up on the side of this cliff. And so we had to go. So we did this, and we actually had a film crew. And halfway up the slope, my childhood fear of heights kicked in. I completely freaked out. And we got up to there, and actually I'm going to show you a little film clip because we had the film crew. So here you'll see me. There's Kirk Johnson on the left. There I am holding onto the rocks. And look at and this is the camera panning over, but the cave is actually above us on this narrow little ledge. It's like 2 feet wide. I'm completely panicked. Because look, way down below us, there's a little boat down there in the distance, and there's the lava flows over there. So that's fun in Washington State. So that film and all the stuff will be in the exhibit at the Burke Museum. I do have this other career as a musician, a so-called musician. I'm not quitting my day job, but I have great fun doing it and playing with all kinds of players. I did do this CD, came out last year, I guess, and I played at the Folk Festival here and always enjoyed it. But I've been having fun collaborating with young folk and doing some goofy videos of some of the songs. And I'd like to encourage all of you to go to YouTube, punch in my name, and watch the Cannery Girl video starring my son, Patrick. People don't want to watch me playing a guitar, so I got my son to play the guitar, and that's Patrick there. And Shauna Lee, the vocalist, and on the song Cannery Girl. We filmed this with a cast of hundreds down at Silver Lining Seafoods, tossing all these fish around. And my daughter Karina is in the video too. A friend of mine Ashley Byler helped choreograph, and we had all these cannery ladies down there throwing stuff around. And we did a ratfish video too that's up there. And I wanted a Busby Berkeley kind of thing going on with swooping cameras and fountains, and it's all on there. So check it out. It's a real fun little song, Cannery Girl. Big shout out to Cannery Girls. And then Mural Project. This is a project I worked on. It's in Pacific Grove down in California. This is a NOAA building down there. And Roberto Salas and Memo Haragi and I worked in this to help kind of bring some sparkle to this building. And I met with the scientists a few times, did a bunch of drawings, and these were painted onto a canvas material and then glued onto the building. And there's the mackerel right there. And I wanted to point out that it's a holy mackerel right there. So. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to point out the anchovies on the pizza, or the pizza with the anchovies. But anyway, so these all go around the building. So these were painted down in San Diego by Roberto and Memo. I designed them, and here they are being attached to the building. And it's just south of Monterey, and there it is on the building. And all four sides of the building. Here it is from the distance, looking from the ocean's right over here. We're looking back to the building. But there it is. Big panels. And actually, it's kind of 3D too. You might want to try the glasses on it. But there's the building. And yeah, that took about 3 years to get done, but we finally got it all done. That's up. And then a number of years ago, back in 2004, Roberto, Memo, and I, and Carla Potter helped in this too. We painted a van for the state of Alaska. So this is the mobile fish classroom. Well, it turns out that this year, the city of Ketchikan, the borough of Ketchikan, decided, why don't we paint one of our buses? So here's a bus. Oops, wait a minute, that's not it, that's still the fish van. Here's a bus that I painted with Memo. And I'd like to say, we got really cool buses in Ketchikan. What do you guys got up here in Juneau, huh? 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 Come on, let's get more art happening. So this is, Memo came up, it was just Memo and I in this, and, I mean, being the primary artist, we had some volunteers helping us. But all 5 species of salmon again, swimming around the bus. Looks really good, you know, out there in the rain like that, all the salmon kind of going by. And so it's the salmon run, the bus. And here we are working on it. Memo's busting it out there. And my niece Mary got to help out, and the various other volunteers. Yvonne Zerbitz came by and gave us a couple days of work because we had to do it in about 10 days. And it's all hand painted. There's the enamel paints that we're using, one-shot paints, and that's the kind of detail. So Memo would kind of block things in with the fish, and I'd go back in and do all the insane, all the scales and the teeth and all that kind of good stuff. But we've been a great team working together. And there's my next door neighbor. I have a way of enlisting people to help. Mike wasn't doing something one day. I say, hey, come on, Mike, let's go up. So there's Memo kind of blocking stuff in. Memo represents Los Angeles. I'm hoping to see him in October with the New York Yankees. See what happens. But one of my favorite bits is on the back of the bus. I had this wacky idea that the brake lights, when you hit the brake lights, the halibut eyes light up. But that's not all, folks. There it is right there. So if you're behind the bus, boop, boop, there's the brake lights going up. And here's another view of the bus on the other side. But this is the bonus thing. On the top, and nobody ever really sees this, if you're up in the cruise ship or up in a tall building, we painted an 800-pound halibut up there. We figure it's the world's largest, but we would like Juneau to paint an even larger one now. We challenge you. But there it is, a big, and it's not just a halibut, it's a flaming halibut. So a big flaming halibut. And here is one of the very latest pieces that I did. And I think I'll end it with a few talking about this piece here. This is a piece I had the great privilege of working with Donnie Varnell. Donnie is of Haida descent. He is Dolores Churchill's grandson. And I've known Donnie for 15 years now or something, and he's been doing incredibly cool work. He takes traditional form line stuff and his Haida heritage very seriously, but he's also kind of a citizen of the world. He's also part white, so he's like I said, it's a real cultural kind of mix with Donnie. He's also influenced by Japanese anime kind of stuff. You'll see that kind of hints of it, but he's a uniquely creative young artist. Well, I say young, I'm 55, he's 35, so we've got 20 years between us. But we did a proposal, and this is about the size of about 9 by 10 feet to do a carved panel together. and at this junior high school. And we got the commission to do it, and this was also about a year and a half late. Just want to let you know. But what we started with, I'll show you this because we did a pencil drawing, just a small pencil drawing, but I drew a little bit and then Donnie drew a little bit. So it's really fun to have a composition happen like that where well, I've got this idea and I'll draw something and then you make the next move, sort of like that, doing the poetry thing or the what's it called, exquisite corpse, where everybody writes a sentence and you pass it on. So I did a little bit of drawing, but the idea that we started with was the mascot for the school is the Knights. And one of the paragons of Western art is this piece of art here by Albrecht Dürer. This is from the 1500s. He's a German artist. It's called The Knight, Death, and the Devil. And he's the virtuous knight heading into the dark forest, facing these dangers. So we took that as our starting point. We don't have horses in Southeast, so we morphed it into this kind of caribou animal thing. Deer. We don't have caribou either, but it's a Northwest Coast knight. The trusty dog is by the knight's feet there. You'll notice that down there in the lower left. And I've always loved Durer's work, his fine craftsmanship. But I changed the dog into a dogfish too. But the other big paragon of the knights that we have in Western culture is St. George and the Dragon. So we wanted like a dragon-like figure, and that's where Donnie kind of came in with kind of a sea monster. And so here we are working. Clark Mishler took this photo, and we worked at the University of Alaska Southeast on the Ketchikan campus. They were kind enough to loan us a big studio space for a while, and then we moved into my studio for a bit. And so this piece was born simultaneously. They're actually right alongside that mural, and I think they kind of influence each other. So Donnie and I worked together. We really did a big push in the spring to get this kind of out of there so I could get back to the painting. But Donnie likes to listen to Chris Cornell Soundgarden at like 8 a.m. That's the only problem I had working with Donnie, is that was his coffee, he said. Oh, heavy metal, and the first thing in the morning. So that was a little rough. But here's as we worked, little details, the drawing. But I really feel like we kind of were stumbling onto some really unique combination, not only of art styles, but sort of culture, but also between, I don't know, it's just a really interesting piece. Because it's half painting, it's half sculpture, it's half kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of a new and exciting thing. So Donnie would respond to things that I would draw out too, even as you worked along. So you see a spiral there, and then Donnie would do a spiral to kind of answer it. And I really love these kind of improvisational pieces where things begin to morph as you work, and it's really great working with another artist. And so here's a flaming frog, and to kind of create our own iconography. And the frog is actually looking at this moth. He's actually arranged so that it looks like, and this is sort of half carved and half painted. And there's the eye of the shark in the end, the dogfish and here's some more details around the border. But you can see the relief carving. And there's Donnie, and we stood it up in my studio. He's kind of starting to do the finish work there. So here we are giving our gang signs. Southeast Alaska. We're pointing to southeast there, see? There's the old guy desperately trying to look hip. Sad. But we also invited school children to come in, and had a couple occasions where, I just thought it'd be a cool idea to let's talk to a school teacher and just, let's mentor a little bit here. Let's bring some kids in and talk. And so we had some kids in that, just talked about what we did. And this is actually before we did it, finished it up because there's some detail work that's in there. But this is the finished piece right here. And we just installed it about 2 weeks ago. And you can see all the detail in the wood too. And this is red cedar. And actually so there it is kind of at an angle so you can see the relief areas of it. So it's, you have to look at it you have to really experience it up close. And I gotta say, this is the first time I ever had a ceremonial dance for one of the pieces that I've been involved in. So there I am, being an honorary Haida guy for 5 minutes. we said we weren't going to dance, and then his cousin he gave this big speech about how we weren't going to dance, but if we didn't dance, we would be greatly shamed. So we danced. But this is a really cool photo because there's Donnie and there's Dolores up there. Check her out, looking down on us. It was really so cool. And here's the wacky thing that Donnie and I really want to do. We've been talking about this idea for a while. And I don't know, I'm going to maybe draw this out a little bit more tightly. This is an evolutionary totem pole. Basically taking the idea of evolution and being inspired by, Northwest Coast art where, animals are placed on top of each other. But I begin to think, well, what about, really the evolutionary chain of being and how you could actually do all these evolutionary relationships as a geeky sort of scientist. So maybe this would be out of a different material. I don't know, Donnie's interested in carving it, and we're just talking about doing it, but I thought it would also be fun to be, actually maybe at the top there we have a kid with a cell phone, I don't know, or pregnant woman with a shopping bag, I don't know. But to get all, and here at the base, but all these, in my geeky science way, I can tell you every single one of these animals, which are, on the path to us. And with that, I think I've talked way long, and that's my website, and it's a great honor to be here in Juneau, and thank you very much. Wait. Yeah. I have no idea what time it is. How long have I talked? How about just like 4 or 5 questions?
4 or 5 questions.
Yeah,
but one thing I want to say is we do have some sales back there, the bookstores.
Oh, yeah.
Got some things. They've got 2010 calendars, Twist and Trout, his CD, magnet, some of his books. So right in the back, the bookstores there.
I almost forgot this.
And you got the 3D. If you want to look at the mural, we can share these with these 3D glasses because it really makes the mural come out. So he brought them here. So be sure and go down to the end of the hall and look at the mural when you finish. The other thing that I just want to say before we go to questions, before everybody leaves, is on your chairs, they're probably around here, the Eagle Totem campaign. And as you walk out, well, right from here, you can see the totem pole that was carved here. We haven't finished that campaign in terms of that. We've had, the Sea Alaska gave us the log the red cedar log for that. And then we just got a challenge grant from Rasmussen a few weeks ago, $25,000 challenge grant, which will help. We need to raise the other $25,000 to get that. And the total project is somewhere around $140,000 to $150,000 to be able to raise the totem pole. So if you feel generous towards the art projects here that we're doing, this will match up our raven pole, which is the other side. We'll be raising this eagle pole to get the balance that really is required here in Southeast Alaska. So anyway, thank you all for being here tonight, and I'll let Ray questions.
Maybe just before a couple of questions, I just wanted to thank you, John, for helping make the mural happen, and it's just so wonderful, and thank you for being so patient. But also, big thanks go out to a couple of people here. Jane Terzis was, I think, a real instigator, and she said, "Hey, John, how about some more art on campus?" So I want to give a special recognition for Jane. And sitting beside her is Woody, one of my favorite painters in the world. You get some real talent here in the room. Woody is also on the faculty here, and actually right in front of them, the person who's responsible for dragging me up to Alaska all those years ago is my big sister, Kate Troll, right there. Brought me up here in 1983. And then everybody else on the campus, like I said, the kids that helped, and then Dave Walker was also really instrumental in the last few days. You know, he does the cool dresses for the wearable art, but Dave helped frame it and gave me 3 days of work. So how about like 3 questions? I know there was somebody who had a megalodon question, a young man with a megalodon question. No? So I was warned there was going to be a megalodon question. No? All right. You had one? My very first love in life, before almost anything else, was dinosaurs. So at age 4, when I can remember the cereal box, it had dinosaurs in it, and it was like in the 50s, you used to get cool stuff in cereal boxes. And then I had dinosaur trading cards, but I just fell in love with dinosaurs. Just these, it's a magical world. I mean, these are real dragons, the real animals, and getting to go to some big museums when I was young, walking in that room with the big brontosaurus, it's just life altering. So yeah, that's been a lifelong thing. So I love them first in life. Sort of echoing there.
I have an irrelevant question.
Irrelevant. Good, my favorite.
It looked as if you had a shirt on in one of those images that said Obama beans.
Dharma beans.
Dharma beans.
Dharma beans. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Oh, maybe there's something that we'll work on that idea, but no.
And what was the Amazon website again? Or
It's AmazonVoyage.org.
thank you.
Amazon Voyage, yeah. And like I said, it's going to open at the Florida Museum of Natural History in October in Gainesville. So it's the second time back in Florida. Back there.
How do you do the 3D effects
The
in your
3D?
paintings?
Well, the true story is that about 10 years ago, somebody went into Burger King and got a pair of these glasses. It was actually a mother down in California. And and then later on, so you take these glasses home and you start looking around at different stuff, and they really are quite remarkable in that they'll make many things kind of pop if you start looking around. But they sat down with my books at night, and they were looking at the Planet Ocean book, and they just went, wow, this is really cool. We need to write them. So they wrote me this letter, and it said, you really need to look at your book with these glasses. They enclosed them. We got them at Burger King. So I let that sit there for about a month, and then about a month later, I picked them up and went, whoa, they're right. So every now and then, I just try them on, and I do, I don't try to make them totally three-dimensional, but But if you kind of keep it in mind, what these glasses are doing, and these are not the red-blue things, these are clear, and they're made by Chroma Depth down in Georgia. But what these do is these allow the warm colors to come through quicker, and they hold the cool colors back. So if you surround a warm object with cool colors, and you put a big black line around it, and like we're going to do a punchy little highlight on it, it'll just kind of fly off of there. So I've got about 20 pairs of these, and you can share them, and just go check out the mural down the hall, and you'll see that the sockeye especially, but pretty much all the fish just come right, they pop right off the canvas. They're like in front of the canvas. It's very bizarre looking. But then, like I said, share them. If I don't get them back, that's no big deal. So fight among yourselves. But, and then let's do two more. How about? Do I have programs? I'm a great supporter of that, but I have she's asking if I have any sort of organization. I go to schools when I can and try to encourage folks, but I think, yeah, everybody, I think Picasso is the one that said every child is an artist, and what you have to do is remember how to be an artist when you're old. You're born an artist, and really all of us are creative people. And I think, that's what I try to, do with my work, just jump in. I just can't turn the little switches off. But I think you should create on every front that you can. So I don't call myself, I'm not just a visual artist. I'm better at visual art than playing the guitar, I'll tell you that. But I have a lot of fun doing it. But I also like to try to write, and I think the creative life is, it's the life for me. And I think it's, don't ever turn that switch off. So I don't know, maybe there's a way to, if there's a foundation or something or a group that you know of. But I think we're really lucky here in Alaska that we have art programs in the elementary schools, somewhat. We need to keep those going. But we're also really lucky that we have 1% art the 1% art program that funds public art in the schools. So that piece that's shown at the junior high school was funded because of the state law. So don't ever let those legislators take that away in this town, please. Don't let them do that. It's important stuff. It's not just a piece of art on the wall. It's a life, but it's also it's a career. It's so many things. So I hope that it's inspiring for folks. And then one last question. Or is that it? All questions have been answered. One last one from Joel. All right. Well, I was out with a bunch of entomologists this summer in Cordova, and we went up the Copper River, and I was telling them about my painting, about the integration and so I was talking about salmon and trees, and there was one of them that said, yeah, the tree rings definitely all line up with the big salmon runs. But once again, as a scientist, just like an artist, you would begin to ask the questions, well, maybe that had something to do with the weather pattern then, but it's, weather patterns but actually I think they were able to show that there was a correlation between the size of the trees and the number of salmon that were showing up like in the actual isotopes of the tree, hence, so, but it just means it's all one thing. So, all right, well, thank you for coming out. I'll sign anything you want. Come get glasses. Thanks. Yeah, here. Take them.